Hi, this is the SMG Blacklist podcast, episode number 20. This is number 8 on the list, Berlin. So, I'm your host, Jack Grosky, number 13 on... No, jeez.
You're not 13, I am.
Holy cow. That's what I get for taking a midday nap. I'm number 23 on the list, in my tribute to Michael Jordan. And with me is my host,
Melissa Maxey, and I'm number 13. And that's because this is my lucky number.
That's right. Don't be jealous. All right. So we're the episode right before the season finale, and we're really moving towards Berlin. And
so the episode starts out, and there's a guy sitting in a money truck, and he opens this case, and you can see a vial of some liquid in there, and he's looking like he's not feeling very well, which I thought, okay, that's kind of strange. And then he gets out of the vehicle and goes inside the bank, and he's like hobbling around, and I'm like, what the heck is he going to do? Is he going to stab someone with that? I thought it was like some sort of like, toxin, he was going to kill someone or whatever, and he's kind of stumbling around. He goes in the bathroom, and, he sees he's getting worse. He comes out, he collapses, and then there's all this chaos. They're calling the ambulance. The ambulance comes, and they're checking him out, and then all of a sudden the EMT worker stands up and tells everybody they can't leave the bank because it's a contagion. Everybody's, like, heading for the door. They're like, I'm not staying here.
My first reaction to that was it's just another blacklister. I guess I'm getting too used to the series, but I thought this is just another blacklister, and somebody is fixing to rob that bank, and they're just using like a really jacked up way to do it.
Yeah. Come to find out.
Well, we find out that this guy is an armored car driver, and he's what he's carrying is the antidote. And the big thing here was he decided that he's done. He's not going to do what they say, and so we're like, what is going on? Who is they? And I mean, who is? Yeah. It's leaving like more questions. It's like it was a really good episode opener.
Yeah, it was really perfect opening.
That's the kind of thing I like to see from the Blacklist, is when they really, kind of step it up. Of course, then we get right back to the team, and we found out that Gina Xanatakos has escaped, and this has to be I think this is all, or at least at the time I thought, this is really all building towards Berlin. If she's escaped, then what's that connection going to be? And then we see Tom and that exchange with Tom, and
that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so they've got Tom tailed all over the world, except they get this one, like, bumbling little guy that, he just gets an order to follow. And, of course, Tom sees right through it. I mean, Tom is supposed to be a master agent, and then he corners this poor little guy, and he's giving him grief like this guy even knows what he's doing.
All he's supposed to do is follow and keep tabs on him.
Right. I personally thought it was a little overkill. But I did like the sequence at the end where he goes, "That's a really nice spider tattoo on your neck." And it's like, yeah,
I was like, okay, what?
I know. I thought he was just going to use it as, when he shot him, that he was going to shoot him in the tattoo or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
So fast forward, he sends that in a baggie to Red, and I thought, if this was like, if it was Dimbe, and I would be really sad, or somebody that a little more competent, but this is kind of like picking on the third grade kid when you're in fifth grade.
Right. That was a little overkill.
It was, but I don't think we're supposed to like Tom Keene anytime soon.
No. Speaking of overkill, Liz is totally I mean, she goes to her boss and says, this is my last, she's like, I'm done. She's like, you can just, sign my resignation over because I'm done working this place. She's like totally lost. She's like completely having a breakdown over everything that's happened. She's just like.
At what point are they going to have her step back up to the plate?
I don't know. I think that she kind of redeems herself a little bit later in the episode, but I mean, the first half of the episode, she really had like some sort of like 3-year-old tantrum, and there were a lot of people commenting on Twitter and Tumblr about how she, was kind of putting her foot down, trying to give herself some sort of like space so that she can kind of work stuff out. She's had so much happen in the last couple episodes that she's having a really hard time dealing with everything, and dealing with Red, especially after he killed her father. So yeah, she doesn't want to even be in the same room with him.
Right. But at what point do you say, you're a member of the elite team, you got to start acting like one?
Exactly.
Of course, they've been playing her in this situation for a reason. She was ripped apart from her family, which at this point we're pretty convinced that it is Red, and for some reason he still doesn't want to let her know, even though it's very obvious he cares more for her than anything else. But, I think one of the things, it had to do something to get the team against Red. I think it was another writer's kind of ploy to say, okay, well, if you leave, then we have no immunity deal for Red. Right. This whole deal is over. And I think
she was still, gonna go for that. She's like, this is my last one. She's like, you can do what you want with him after this. I mean, she was really set on that.
Right, because she has no interest in keeping. She's just mad that he killed her dad. And so if he goes,
she's mad about Tom, and she's taking it out on everyone, and she's just, I mean, wrestling her in her apartment. They, get the company involved, and they're taking stuff out of her place. And the one thing that she keeps is the rabbit. She keeps the stuffed rabbit.
Yeah, which still
they take everything else.
Still has the burn marks, but yeah, everything else is going away. But I guess we got to kind of zoom back. What about the apartment? They almost made it seem like there was going to be some interchange, and this week it was just like, hey, Liz, a little pat on the back and bunk up. I thought something was going to happen, and they did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, now they have everything that they know everything now. I mean, all the stuff that she had on the boards, she gave to the company, and she gave to the FBI, everything about all the information she knew, the keys, the pictures, everything. And so, they didn't really do anything with that after she did that, because they went right into into the Berlin aspect, getting information, when her and Red had to fly in a plane to, I don't remember exactly where they went, but they went to visit that scientist about the chemicals, or the biological thing that, was infecting those people, to find out how, the cure for it. They needed the cure.
Right, the Cullen virus, although it wasn't an airborne, it was an injectable.
Yes.
And, this guy keeps railing
really
about.
Close to like Ebola.
Right.
I was like, this was kind of like an Outbreak episode. I thought of the movie Outbreak, when it was like, they had all these people running around, trying to find a cure, and everybody's sick and bleeding out their noses and.
Yeah, I mean, did anybody really, of course, I never really expected that these guys were ever going to get their cure, or that their cure was even real. At this point, why even bother? But, maybe that was the actual CDC agent that was doing the blackmailing. But he didn't seem like the type that was going to save them at the end either.
No. And what I thought was really cool was when they go to see the scientist, and he's in a psych hospital, right? And he turns around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Lionel Luthor from Smallville. It's Michael Rosenbaum. He's a fabulous actor, and him and James Spader were, their interaction was just totally fascinating. The way that they were bantering back and forth, and then you could just see Liz in the background just acting like a 3-year-old child, like, I'm done here, and she goes home by herself.
Right.
But
He's just spouting nonsense, and meanwhile, Red is actually taking in all the information because he knows this guy is, he's
brilliant.
Right, he's brilliant. He's been fed, because of the meningitis, he's had this brain damage. However, it's really kind of more emotional or, really a connectivity kind of thing, that the guy is still a brilliant genius, but you have to get through all the nonsense. And Red just seems like the perfect guy to just say, okay, just do your rambling. I know the space, spaceman, what was it, Space Agent UD-4126.
Yes.
Now, there's gotta be something to that. But Liz, who's supposed to be like this profiler and really detail-oriented person, completely, doesn't even pick up on any of this until later, and she's like, oh my god, she sees the ID on somebody's. So you do have to give her credit there.
Yes.
But for somebody that's supposed to be able to read people, sometimes she's not so good at it.
Well, one of the best things I thought was pretty excellent for Liz is that, she goes home in a big stomp about, he's crazy, he doesn't know anything he's talking about, but then she has to turn around and go back and pretty much grovel because she knows that, he actually does have that information. And so she has to say, okay, I was wrong, I'm back. So that was kind of a good turning point right there.
Right, and you gotta give props to Aram for actually, finding it from the badge numbers and
yes.
finding their person, of course, and that's really how they narrow it down. And
I mean, at this point, I can't. The one thing that stands out in my mind with the Liz and Reddington evolution for this episode, even though she was acting like a child, and how she brings herself back to like, oh my gosh, I did something. I totally did something bad. When she says that, she's done with the FBI and that she really doesn't want to be there anymore, and then she realizes that she made a mistake, and Red is, being carted off, and she knows that he is in danger. She knows that, Berlin is coming and he's coming for Red, and she made the gravest mistake ever by, letting the FBI, like all of the protocols that they had in place for him to be safe are off.
Right. Well, yeah, it's, it's really set up this like huge interchange, and, that's, it's really at the heart of the series that, this is the Blacklist about, the blacklisters, or is it really about the interchange between Liz and Red?
Right. So then they show a transport plane, right?
Right. It's a prison transport plane, and all of a sudden we find out it's being piloted by a Russian pilot who starts taking people out. Yeah, and then we see what the whole, the whole reason why those people were getting infected was so that they could get this plane landed in the States. Each person had their role to get to a certain point so that this could take place, so that so Berlin could make it into the country. Well,
right.
Right. So we find out that's a big thing right there. Berlin isn't a place. Berlin, we find out, is a person. And, of course, we find out the pilot, why is the pilot, what is his connection? Of course, we hear him cough and his nose bleed. So we know that, they're using this virus, and this guy isn't afraid to do this. But, because all of a sudden now this Russian transport plane is in American airspace, it gets shot down. So now Berlin is inserted onto American soil. Right. And I would think there would be a lot less invasive ways and using super viruses to smuggle somebody in the country, but it is a pretty elaborate scheme, and apparently has worked.
Yes.
Because now since Liz has pulled her part of the program, the FBI has rescinded their deal, and instead of running away, Red just kind of sits there while Liz has her change of heart.
Yeah, he just misses Dembe so he can go. He gets dismissed.
Right.
And they sit there while everyone, like, closes in.
It's funny how the FBI, I really kind of get the feeling at any point, the FBI had him in this, like, special room and locked up, that really, at any given point when Red is kind of tired of playing this game, wherever they put him, that he's not going to be there for long. It's almost kind of funny. It's like, you're supposed to side with the good guys, but at any point it's like, really? You really think that you are going to lock Red away and put him in solitary confinement, and that's going to be the end of him?
I actually love that episode where they're stuck, wrestlers like bleeding out, and I mean that was one of my favorite episodes. They're stuck, when he's stuck and he can't, doesn't have anybody to get him out.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the season finale is going to have a lot of different. I hope that's going to be pretty action packed.
Oh yeah, it is. Now it's well, as Red says, it has begun. Of course. Here's one of the things I didn't understand. They really never got to the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse, which we know was supposed to be 4.
Right.
From Bible verse you have, but the crazy scientist kept referring to the 5. So these are the 5: a driver, a baggage handler, and all these elements. And of course, the plane just gets shot down. Now, did these 5 people?
Well, the plane. What happened was they tried to land the plane, but then he told them not to land, and so they just.
Oh, right, because
they got
to the airport where everybody was supposed to go. So that's right, because then they got the antidote. Then, so I guess they really didn't show the interchange with the 5 kind of unwilling accomplices. But I guess we're just supposed to assume that they've been rounded up and saved, and because that's how they got to the airport. The plane aborts, yet we know that Berlin has gotten down somehow.
Right.
So, that really kind of leaves us with really Tom is still on the loose. We don't know what his function is. Obviously, Tom could have taken out Red at 2 or 3 other given points. So does that mean, does Berlin want?
I think he wants Red.
He does.
Maybe.
Does he want him for something, or does he want the pleasure of killing himself and saying nobody else gets that pleasure? Because
Tom says you don't choose Berlin. He chooses, and he is coming. So he's, after Red to kill him, maybe not. Maybe he needs him for something. Maybe that.
Well, I definitely think he's hunting him down. I think he wants to kill Red, but I think the only explanation is that he has to have the pleasure of doing it himself for some perceived injustice. There's somewhere along the way that Red has stolen his lunch or his lunch money, or ruined some criminal enterprise, or you killed my brother and now I must kill you. And
right.
So that's kind of where I think we're kind of left here. It's funny, I think we had more to talk about on the previous episode than this one, and this one had so many more elements, but it was
a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is. And here's some of the comments. They want really the writers to round Liz out. I think they want to see her. Here's one post. I love this show, but the writers have to round Liz out. She has grated on my nerves the entire season. Seriously, she isn't a teenager. She's an adult, or at least she's supposed to be.
I like, okay, so this is what Red said. He said, when I left the island, she kissed me like a burst of sunlight on my cheek. It made nearly dying well worth it. That's how I feel now.
Well, he's kind of waited for Liz to kind of have this change of heart. Really almost, I would say about 6 or 7 episodes now, where, she's realized that he's being hunted, they're coming after, and she really wants to help him. And this is like that kiss on the cheek is like, that golden ray of sunshine, I think, something like that he said. So,
yeah, the other thing that he says that is cool is, as bad as you think I am, as far as you think I am willing to go to protect that which I hold most dear, you can't possibly fathom how deep that well of mine truly goes.
Right. Which I think he's referencing her directly. I don't think she still realizes that yet. Of course,
No, I don't think she does either.
The show needs to answer that question. Is she your daughter? Yes or no?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question.
And here's a little side note. I saw a post where should Liz's wig get full credit on the show?
As an extra?
Yeah. And I think there were a couple hundred votes for the wig should get credit, and I think there were a small percentage that said at the beginning of the show, a small percentage said it should get credit at the end of the show, because they say it must be some integral part of the show because, the hairstyle never changes, and, she in real life, she has a very short hairstyle.
Short hair. Mm-hmm.
And so, but, it must have magical superpowers or something. It was a fun little article. I really didn't ever think much of her hair and, her hairstyle in real life. I didn't, until they showed a picture. And she's got, I don't know what you would call it. I don't think it's a little too long to be, I guess, what they call a pixie cut.
It's not a bob. Yeah, it's a little bit longer than that. She's growing it out, I think, so. They started before the season, but they started filming. It was really short in the back, but now it seems almost shoulder length when you see pictures of her. I think in the news and stuff. So.
Would you call that like a Calvin and Hobbes style, or?
No. Like a bob, maybe.
So my favorite quote was the episode on this episode was when he's called her sweetheart, and that's how blackmail works. And she totally pulls a Red. She puts the colon virus in his water, and after all is said and done, she says, the colon virus is in your water, and if you want the antidote, you're going to have to give me those 5
You're going to have
eggs.
to give me the answers.
And
yeah, that was good.
And that's how blackmail works, sweetheart. And that's our Liz. That's the Liz that everybody wants to see.
That's the Liz everybody wants to see. Ruthless Liz.
There you go. Yeah, until they kind of stop the tantrums and kind of grow her up a little bit. But that's where they have to go with her. I think they're kind of developing her. She is a newbie. She is the rookie. I think we still kind of forget that. But you know what? Let's bump her up a couple notches and, say, hey, maybe she has gone through the FBI Academy and can whip up a little butt.
Let's hope that she whips up more butt in the next episode.
Well, here's the next thing is, much like, in the S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast and Marvel, they've kind of imploded the whole, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There is no S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore. Towards the end of this episode, Liz goes back and tells the director, I've changed my mind. I'm no longer having my tantrum. I'm back. It's all good. It's like, what do you mean you're back? They've pulled the plug. They've already made the decision about you and him, and you're both done. You're going away. He's going into solitary. So, of course, now they've disbanded the team. The FBI is in full assault now against Red. Of course, are they going to flip that back in next season and say, oh, well, okay, we'll put it all back together?
I don't know.
They haven't left a whole lot up to, redemption or putting the team back together. I guess at some point they'll say, well, I guess our final decision wasn't final, and,
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to go back on that, now that Liz knows that it's bigger than just the blacklist, that it's an actual big, something else is going on, they might delve more into that. And
right.
So
the only thing I can think of at this point is that they can, something with, this guy Berlin, and they could tie it into a national security issue and kind of roll this into more like an international kind of thing where, hey, we're protecting American interests. And, otherwise I can't see, unless the team kind of goes undercover, goes like Black Ops. But I don't think this kind of, I don't think with the blacklist that they would go that direction. I think.
Well, it seems like there seems to be a lot of people on the blacklist since they jump around with the numbers all the time. So.
Well, I'm not saying that they'll run out of people. I'm just saying since they've disbanded the team, I think they'll have to tie in something to Berlin to make the kind of the top brass go, oh, okay, well, you know what? This was definitely, in the American security interest. So
right.
They're going to have to come up with something really big to keep the team going. What that is, I don't know. Definitely, they're going to have to stop Berlin to move on with the list. But my prediction here is that inside that they will find something in the interest of national security, and you heard it right here, folks, that will be the reasoning for getting the team back together. Because
right.
you can't just gloss over the fact that they just disbanded the whole impetus for the show. So where do you go with that?
Well, maybe they'll do that. It's possible that they'll do that before the season finale. I don't know.
Well, like I said, in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've pretty much disbanded like the entire infrastructure at the by the end of the first season. So okay, now what do you do? Where do you go? So I don't know. That must be like a writer's thing. I think they run out of dramatics and kind of hit the nuclear option within season 1. It's like, okay, all right, now what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oops. But, we do, we did see the preview of, for next time, and there's definitely going to be a lot of big action. The Berlin's coming, the FBI is coming, and, so there's going to be a chase from all directions. I'm sure, Tom is going to be back in the picture.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I really dig the whole Mustang commercials in the middle of the, right, they put it right smack in the middle of the episode where he's driving a Mustang, talking about being like a 007. That's kind of fabulous.
Right. And,
you don't know if the bad guy is really good guy.
And here's another thing is, the bunny and the fire thing, that the fire is what gave her scar, and her scar was replicated on all of Tom's little secret doodah things.
Yeah, all of his,
his, little box and, so, I mean, maybe they're just like a bunch of monks that worship Liz's scar. And
let's not take this too far.
And they're seeking revenge for Red having left her as a child, and that the secrets of the universe will be opened up inside of Liz's scar. I mean, they've really set up this kind of weird little thing with the scar and Tom, so they've got to answer for that pretty soon.
Yeah.
So.
I hope they give us a little bit more to that. Either tell us that it's not really happening, or give us something else, or actually tell us that that's really what happened.
So, well,
right.
I guess that's kind of where we left off, and the next time that I guess we'll see each other is Monday for the big finale. But don't check out too soon, because I'm sure we'll have some Spader news and where they're going next season. So we'll definitely have some things to kind of talk about and wrap up. So don't count us out just yet, but do join us for the big finish next week. I have been your host, number 23 on the list, Jack Wendrowski, and with me was
Melissa, number 13, Melissa Maxey.
And at least we got it right this time.
I don't want to be 23.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
So this has been part of the Southgate Media Group. So don't forget to go to www.southgatemediagroup.com, click on our sponsors, and go to iTunes, review us, like us, be our friends, and up until next time, we will see you on the list.
See you then.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fund going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.